Welcome to today's grammar lecture. We will be looking at ach plus pronouns, some rare spellings of conjunction vav and the article, and substantival participles. Let's begin by looking at ach plus pronouns. Your question may be, Jesse, why single out this particular noun with attached pronouns? We've already covered this. And indeed we have, but ach is representative of a few one-syllable nouns that are exceptional, that in their singular form, they take a chirik yod before the attached pronoun. And what makes it tricky is that it's a little difficult to distinguish the singular nouns with attached pronouns from the plural nouns with attached pronouns. Because remember, any noun whose plural form ends in im, when it takes an attached pronoun, the attached pronoun takes the place of that im ending. And so the only way to distinguish between singular and plural forms with attached pronoun is whether that attached pronoun is type 1 or type 2. And now, with ach, every single attached pronoun begins with a vowel letter, but the distinguishing mark is that type 2 pronouns, which attach to plural nouns, begin with a yod vowel letter that is not chirik yod. So we can tell the difference between every one of the forms. I'll walk us through one by one. You can hear the difference. My brother is achi, my brother's is achai. Talking to a man, your brother, achicha, your brother's, achecha. Talking to a woman, your brother, achich, your brother's, achaich. His brother, achiv, his brother's, echav. Her brother, achiha, her brother's, acheha. And here we switch the attached pronoun from singular forms to plural forms, and there's still the difference that you can hear. Our brother, achinu, our brothers, achenu. Talking to a group of men, your brother, achichem, your brothers, achechem. Group of women, your brother, achichen, your brothers, achechen. Talking about a group of men, their brother, achihem, their brothers, achehem. And finally, talking about a group of women, their brother, achihen, their brothers, achehen. And so that's the point of this, is that ach is like a few one-syllable nouns. I can name a couple other ones. Pe, mouth, and then av, which means father, a noun that you haven't encountered yet. But that also is like ach in that in their singular forms, they add a chirik yod before the attached pronoun. But it's still distinguished from the plural forms that use type 2 pronouns, and type 2 pronouns always begin with a yod vowel letter that is not chirik yod. Next, rare spellings of conjunction vav and the article. Let's begin with conjunction vav. Before we get to the rare spelling, a little review. Remember that vav, as default, is written with a shva underneath, so kiseh ve'shulchan. It's also written this way before the article, hasus ve'hapara. I mention this because you have the prefix prepositions, ba, ka, and la, that when they attach to a noun with the article, it causes the he of the article to drop out, and the prefix preposition swallows the vowel of the article. Conjunction vav isn't like that. The article stays intact, which is nice. The first change that we've seen is that before a chatef vowel, the vav took the corresponding short vowel. So if the chatef vowel is a chatef patach, the vav took the patach. Kavasim va'anashim. By the same rule, if the vowel is a chatef segol, the vav takes segol. Sheker ve'emet. The other change that we've seen is that before beit, mem, and pei, the letters pronounced with the lips, the vav is written as a shurik, lechem uvasar. It's also written as a shurik before a shva, anashim uchvasim. All of that is review. The new point is that the vav is written with a kametz before words that consist of one syllable or longer words with an initial accent. It's written as a vav with a kametz. So, and a day is vayom. And this alternation, I'm not quite sure why it exists. I honestly don't quite understand why in this environment the Masoretes wrote the conjunction vav with a kametz. Next, the rare spelling of the article, and this is one that I do feel like I understand. Before I get to the rare spelling, a little review. The default way to write the article is as a hey with a patach and then a dagesh chazak in the first letter of the noun. You can tell it's dagesh chazak because as the previous vowel, and remember the dagesh chazak is the doubling dagesh. It marked a geminate letter, which is no longer pronounced as a double sound in modern Hebrew. So we have halechem and hasus. Now, in biblical times, there are 5 letters that never could geminate, and so it couldn't take the dagesh chazak, which for 3 letters would cause compensatory lengthening. The vowel of the article would lengthen from a patach to a kametz, which in modern Hebrew is still pronounced the same. So you have ha'ish, ha'ir, and harosh. But in biblical times, there are 2 letters that often never did cause compensatory lengthening, so the patach would remain a patach. So you have ha-hechal, which is the temple, and then ha-cherev. So this minor alternation in vowel sounds and whether or not you get the dagesh chazak is really nothing to be concerned about, especially with modern pronunciation, because you always pronounce the article as ha, until we get to the rare spelling of the article, which is as he with a segol. It was written this way always before an unaccented ayin, he, and chet when those 3 letters would take a kametz. The reason why the article would do this is you would expect the dagesh to be rejected and the patach to lengthen to a kametz, and now that ha sound sounds a lot like an unaccented ah, ha, or cha sound. And so we can talk, actually, let me speak just generally about vowel change in Hebrew, is it can usually be explained by either assimilation or dissimilation. And you can think about it in terms of magnets. When you have 2 magnets that are close to one another, depending on which way their poles are facing, they'll either attract one another or they will repel one another. So it is with language sounds. If you have 2 sounds that are very close to each other, either speakers will collapse the distinction between those 2 sounds and you get assimilation, or will increase the distinction between those 2 sounds and you get dissimilation. And so the question would be, why would speakers in this case make the distinction even greater? And I think the answer is, in order to preserve the integrity of these being articular nouns, that it's a distinction between, an iniquity and the iniquity. So speakers would change the vowel sound of the article so that it wouldn't blend into the noun. So you could still hear, oh, okay, this is an articular noun. I heard the article and then I heard the rest of the noun. So the rare spelling of the article, this is for sure a dissimilation rule. Now, when I said that I don't understand why the rare spelling of conjunction vav with the kametz before a 1-syllable word or before a longer word with an initial accent, I'm not quite sure about that one because it doesn't seem to be transparently either a case of assimilation or dissimilation, so I'm really not sure why the Masoretes wrote it that way in those contexts. And finally, substantival participles. Remember, a participle is a verbal adjective in that it will mean things like any other verb, but syntactically it'll behave like an adjective. And so participles have the same 3 syntactic functions as adjectives. It can function as an attributive, it can function as a predicate, or as a substantive. As a substantive, a participle takes the place of a noun. In fact, there are a few noun forms that you have memorized that seem to be frozen substantival participle forms. For instance, number 1, oyev, means enemy. Notice that it has that o vowel pattern characteristic of many all participles, like hu holech, el hashulchan. It has an o vowel pattern, which fits it being a participle. And probably oyev was derived from ayav, which is a verb that doesn't occur too frequently, but it does in the Hebrew Bible. That means to be at enmity. So oyev is one who is at enmity or an enemy. And it just occurred so frequently that over time probably people thought of it just as a noun, which is why we have it listed on the flashcards as a noun. There are other examples in the flashcards as well, but I just bring this up as representative. All right, the other point to say is that when you have a participle functioning substantively, it can take an attached pronoun, and the attached pronoun works just as if it were attaching to a noun. So type 1 attaches to a singular participle, type 2 attaches to a plural participle. So number 2 is a singular participle, Adonai roi. Yahweh is the one who shepherds me, or you could just say is my shepherd. Number 3 is another instance of a singular substantival participle with an attached pronoun, Ko amar Adonai go alchem. Thus says Yahweh, the one who redeems you all, or your Redeemer. And type 2 pronouns attached to plural participles. Ve'oseh chesed la'alafim le'ohavai. And doing steadfast love to thousands, to the ones who love me. Where if this was a singular participle, you would just use the type 1 attached participle, which would be a chirk yod. So it would sound like le'ohavi is the one who loves me, but this is le'ohavai, the ones who love me, which is just a further explanation of la'alafim, to thousands, namely to the ones who love me. And number 5, Ve'yirash zarech et sha'ar sonav. And your, talking to Rebekah, your offspring will possess the gate of the ones who hate him, where this attached pronoun refers back to Zerah, telling you that what the speakers have in mind is a singular offspring, and this singular offspring will have multiple people who hate him. Otherwise, it would be probably Sha'ar Son O, but because it's Son Av, it's the gate of the ones who hate him. So these are the 2 points of substantival participles that take the place of a noun. One is that there are a few nouns that you have memorized that appear to be frozen in time substantival participle forms, that because they occur so frequently, people probably thought of them as just being like nouns, or this is how the noun form developed. The other point is that when a substantival participle takes an attached pronoun, type 1 attaches to a singular participle and type 2 attaches to a plural participle.